so much, Michelle, for giving us your time. I'm pretty excited that today we are going to talk about AI for all the students, especially grads who have recently finished their graduation in tech-related courses, be it cybersecurity, be it data analyst, or software engineering, even the AI itself. So today we'll talk about their career, how it's going to be, because we are just experiencing this transition driven by AI. So before we start, and I bombarded you with my questions, I just want you to introduce yourself to my audience. I know you very well. I would say from last 10 years, I think I'm in touch with you, but just your introduction for my audience, please.
Okay. My name is Michelle Sandford. I am the Developer Engagement Lead for Microsoft in Asia, which means I help people in the community to learn how to build on Azure. So I will often go out into schools, universities, TAFEs, and NIT organizations like that to deliver workshops and to speak to students about working in the technology industry, and just generally encouraging them and showing them how easy it is to build in our very exciting field.
Yes, definitely. All right. So let's start with my first question. So, uh, I know students are a bit confused at the moment because although they are not directly into AI courses, some are in cybersecurity and some other IT related courses, but AI is going to impact them as well, right? So, how they can use AI to future proof their careers. I know, like when I did my last episode with George, we listed so many AI tools that students can use, but how they can start, what should be their strategy?
I think that no matter what field students go into in technology, they are definitely going to touch both AI and cybersecurity. There is nothing that you do that does not touch those two fields in some way. So if you are already prepared for that, then it's going to put you at an advantage compared to other students who might have just stuck to the curriculum in front of them. What the world is looking for is really students that are exhibiting that continuous learning mindset. So showing that you have gone off and done some additional study or research that is not in the curriculum that was in front of you, that you have reached out, have learned more, is one of the things that is going to put you ahead of your peers. I think the best place to start is the Microsoft Learn Student Hub. And if you just search on Microsoft Learn Student Hub, it will bring you to that page. That page has within it so many useful things. It has the free Azure credits that you can get as a student. And I'll just quickly say my advice there is if you build anything using those free Azure credits, as soon as you have built it, delete it, shut down those resources, close everything down. Like record it while you are building it if you want to showcase your work, showcase that you are doing stuff, but delete everything right away so you are not burning through those credits. Those $100 US should easily last you a full year. Then on there's also the GitHub Developer Pack, which has thousands of dollars worth of software for free on there. So you should definitely check that out and get all of those. Even in the year after you are no longer a student, that software will remain valid. So, do that now while you have access to it for free. And then there are a bunch of learning paths on there. It's always going to highlight what is hot at the moment. So the AI 900, so the AI fundamentals course, that's a super great place to start. I think it's very easy to pass. You read the learning path. It is very practical. These are things you'll have seen in real life, in the real world, and you'll be able to put a name to the technology that is driving them once you've read that learning path. I have on my YouTube channel a like a prep class. It's not
Okay.
really a class that is teaching you. It's not really a class that is teaching you your the course itself. It is more a class that is teaching you the things that you need to know, like be calm in the exam, don't panic. Um, if you're panicking, just like answer the first few questions, just pick one and move on, pick one and move on. And then after 5 questions, your brain is going to calm down. And then you can come back to the questions at the end when you're in the pattern of answering
Mhm.
and re-look at them and change them if you need to then. But don't stare at question one for 15 minutes because the only way you really fail that exam is if you don't answer all the questions. So, staring at the first one for 15 minutes is going to take you off your game. So,
Mhm.
yeah, AI 900 is definitely one to start with. AI 102, associate level exam, I think you can do it immediately afterwards because it's information that builds on what you just learned. There's no other Microsoft exam that is as closely linked between fundamentals and associate level as those
Okay.
two AI exams are. So it's a really
That's
good sort of
awesome.
like to like go from one to the other. Um, yeah, so that's where I would definitely start. There are also a bunch of applied skills on there. So the
Okay.
certifications, George probably mentioned it, the certifications are testing your knowledge of the topics. The applied skills are showing that you can use tools. Both of them provide you with a certificate. The certifications, there is a charge, but through that Student Hub page, you get discounted vouchers as a student. The applied skills are free, but they are graded by an AI, so they require you to do them in the order that they taught you in the learning path. So even if
Oh,
exactly, you might not pass if you haven't done it in the order that AI expects it. So I
mm,
think it's tougher to pass those exams,
makes
but
sense.
it does show that you have both the skills and the ability to talk, and you get certificates for both that you can attach to your LinkedIn profile. And I think that puts you ahead of the game.
Awesome, awesome. I'm definitely going to put all those links in the description, especially your YouTube channel, because it's going to have other learning materials as well. We'll get to learn from you. And yes, Student Hub, I have myself used that for my own learning. So that's a good one. Thank you for sharing that insightful resources. Now, I understand that there are two parts of learning AI. One is they would learn for themselves, like obviously for enhancing their own productivity and their own learning, and another part is that they showcase their credibility, because obviously at this stage they are working on their resumes, their cover letters, preparing for interviews. So would you be able to suggest types of like projects they can start with, some ideas they can brainstorm on, that how they can showcase?
I would definitely say you want to be building on GitHub and
Mhm.
then have everything as a public repository. Then
Mhm.
employers can see your contribution graph, which it isn't everything. There are absolutely ways to cheat your contribution graph. However, it's also obvious when you look at your profile that that's what you've been doing, so you don't bother installing a little add-on that's going to run a thing every day so that your graph is always green. That doesn't mean anything, and that doesn't show anything. Build things, put your repositories in GitHub, and have them public so that employers can look at them and see
Mhm.
what you've been working on and what you've been building.
Yep.
And if you've never used it before, there are many repositories that are created by Microsoft, by GitHub themselves, by Microsoft employees, by MVPs, so our most valued professionals.
Mhm.
to then share their repositories, and you can fork those. So you have a copy on your own repo that you can then build on top of. You can play with it, you
Mhm.
can build it, you can learn from it. And you can start with things like that and go on from there. I think you will find plenty of learning paths on the Student Hub, which you can then put your code into those GitHub repos and have them there. If you look at my GitHub repo, you can see that the profile page of that is set up really like it's really quite flashy. It's not. It
Create.
looks like it looks like a LinkedIn page. It looks like a
Oh,
CV. It is not. And so there is possibility to showcase your portfolio and yourself from your LinkedIn by really making your LinkedIn profile
mhm.
as flashy as your LinkedIn profile, your GitHub profile as flashy as your LinkedIn profile. Should be
Oh,
colorful, should be full of should be full of information about your certifications, about who you are, about what you're doing, what you're building, and all of that. Have some pinned repositories in there. It's yeah, it's
nice.
a great
Also,
place.
a quick mythbuster here. I wanted to know: is GitHub only for software engineers, or any other grad can create their own? What type of projects are there? Like, is it just like programming related, or?
I mean, mainly programming related, but not entirely, because it is literally a filing cabinet in the cloud. So
Hmm.
whatever you want to store, you can put up there. Um, I would say that it's not really like Flickr or something. You can't be storing, if you're a photographer, you can't be
Oh,
storing thousands of high quality photos up there. It has a limit on
hmm.
on how much you can store up there. So
Yep.
even the other day, I was trying to put some presentations up there, and they were quite heavy on photos within them, and so they were too
Hmm.
big, and it said no to that. But um, people do, marketing people do use it to write blogs and like travel
Oh,
blogs or
yeah.
food blogs, and it's really good because you can
Hmm.
publish your work as a free website using GitHub Pages. And if you don't know how to do that because you're not a coder, you
Hmm.
can absolutely use GitHub Copilot for free and get it to
Um,
tell you, teach you that. So it will teach you how to make a website and throw it up as a GitHub page into a blog that you can publish for free from
yeah.
entirely from GitHub with the help of GitHub Copilot.
Yeah, I can certainly get that there is a value through the personal profiles that they can build. It could be LinkedIn, it could be GitHub, it could be a website itself, I guess, because I've seen your website very attractive. So definitely they should utilize all these resources, and this is the best way to showcase their skills. And thanks for sharing all that information. Now, I wanted to ask you, like in your day-to-day tasks, like in your daily routine, what sort of AI do you use? How you use it?
So obviously the top thing currently is agentic AI, or so this is
Yeah.
agents. And I
Mm-hmm.
really like this idea because I have a very simple brain. And so I don't want to build like big, complex architecture and try to understand all of the different parts and different components of it. I could never be a cloud solution architect because I'm not very strategic like that. Um, However, and with agents, the goal is you give each agent its own individual task and you let it do that. And then if you get more complex, you can absolutely have the agents talk to each other or have one agent that is getting all the little agents to talk to each other and
Yeah.
summarize. Um, but the goal is to ultimately take away all the toil. So all of the boring stuff, all of the things that could easily be done by automation should be done by automation, but agents are not just automation, they are slightly smarter automation. So they are thinking. Thinking is probably the wrong word because they are not really thinking,
It's
but
not thing.
they are
Yeah.
doing what they need to do more deeply than automation. They are not just following a
Mm.
path. They
Okay.
are able to iterate when there are errors. They are able to circle back, find another way. So, yes, generative AI plus automation has given us the ability
Mm.
to build agents. And I think that is a super, super exciting thing. And I definitely want to find some time this week, next week, to yes, to try and build some agents of my own, to think what can I do with it and what would it look like,
Yeah.
and yes, do some stuff.
Yeah. Perfect. I think everyone needs to explore that. You and my next question is like, what ethical consideration should students keep in mind while using AI? Because
That's one of my
obviously, if you can do.
favorite. This is my favorite topic. So responsible AI is a huge differentiator. And I think if you can study responsible AI, trustworthy AI, and be able to talk about that at interviews, I think you could talk about that for the whole interview, really. And
Mm.
that is definitely one of the things that will put you ahead of your peers at interviews, because they will all be there talking about, talking about tools, talking about stuff you can build, stuff you can do, talking about different technologies. But if you can show that you have some consideration around trustworthy AI, around responsible AI, and that you have
Mm.
really got deep into it, I think this really puts you ahead of the game. And so at Microsoft, we have a whole page on responsible AI. We talk about 6 principles, which are like really clear and are things that you need to plan into your
Yeah.
stuff. So there's 6 principles of responsible AI that we think about: fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, transparency, accountability, and inclusiveness. And each of those things on the website, you can see like little videos explaining how that works in the real world. I just did this talk at AgentCon where I was talking about building trustworthy agents, and it's really at every level, from the planning and design all the way through to implementation, and then to like testing, and indeed after it goes live, like having an iterative approach to make sure that you're always evaluating and monitoring what you have built to make sure that it is following those ethical principles. Because
Mhm.
if your AI does something bad, if it is in some way racist, for example, there was those hand sanitizer machines that couldn't see, they could only see white hands.
Oh,
And so if a person of color put their hand underneath, it didn't squirt out anything. That's, that kind of
mm.
thing is going to get you into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
When cars were first made and they did the airbags and seatbelts, they measured those things and they did the pressure on them to suit the average man, which meant a lot
Mm.
of women and children were killed because, we are much weaker creatures. And so the things would like explode on us, and women would die, children would die. And so,
Mm.
like, the function of everyone being the same, everyone being equal, does not work when you are building stuff and people's lives are at risk. So that's
Mm.
super important, and it's the kind of thing that can get your company shut down or sued. So
Mm.
responsible AI is really at the heart of every leader's mind, the heart of every lawyer's mind, and at the heart of every operational supervisor on the floor. So, to really put that at the heart of what you are learning and be able to talk about it would be a very strong point for you at interviews, I
Yeah.
think.
Absolutely. I can clearly see like we had cyber awareness trainings regularly happening. Same way, I think ethical training, how to use AI ethically and the best practices that gonna come as well as a regular practice in companies soon.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.